Welcome back to Visual Art. And today,
Are you struggling in calculus?
I have a very exciting video. Today, I'm going to be reacting to the top 10 richest country in Africa in 2023, obviously.
Having a hard time understanding your instructor? Do you wish there was a better way?
Some of the
If I were to predict the country, obviously, I can. Okay, let me make my own prediction, right? My own prediction: richest country in Africa, top 10. So number one, hold on. Okay, number one. This is not in order, right? I'm not gonna put it in order. But number one, I put South Africa. Number two, Nigeria. Number three, Ghana. Number four, wait, Ghana. Number three, Egypt. Number five, Tunisia. Number six, Uganda. Number seven, Ethiopia. Number eight, Tanzania. Number nine, Angola. Number 10, Congo. That's my top 10. And if you feel like that's wrong, we're going to find out. We're going to watch the video and find out which one is the richest one. And is it by, let's see. Is it by GDP or natural resources? We're going to find out.
Fastest growing economies in the world and stands as one of the most attractive markets for foreign investors seeking business opportunities in emerging markets. The African economy is projected to reach a GDP of $29 trillion by 2050, from over $3 trillion, making Africa the second fastest growing economy in the world after Asia. While there are several ways to compare nations' wealth, one of the best methods is to evaluate each country's gross domestic product, GDP, which is the value of all the goods and services produced by a nation in a given year. In this video we are going to look at the 10 richest countries in Africa by GDP according to data provided by the IMF. Please do not forget to like this video and sharing with us your opinion on the economies of these nations and the African continent at large.
So this is by GDP, growth domestic product. So, if it was natural resources, then it would have been so many different countries. But GDP, I think in Nigeria should be your top. South Africa also. Yeah.
Number 10, Ghana.
Ghana. I got Ghana correct, but I didn't have it in my number 10. But yeah, they did.
Ghana is one of the largest economies in Africa. The West African nation has the second biggest economy in West Africa, and is one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. Ghana is the world's second largest cocoa producer behind Ivory Coast and Africa's biggest gold miner, producing over 100 metric tons of gold every.
And they're the biggest gold. Okay, damn, that's crazy. Okay.
Year. A combination of a conducive business environment, committed and progressive government private sector participation, political stability, transparent regulations, and a thriving private sector, are some of the reasons to Ghana's recent economic boom. About 3/5 of Ghana's GDP is derived from the services sector, 1/5 from agriculture, and industry contributing about 1/4, with its total GDP standing at $73.8 billion. Number 9, Tanzania.
Tanzania, I also got Tanzania correct. Okay. Man, I know I'm smart, man.
Tanzania is one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, and one of Africa's most attractive investment destinations.
And Tanzania is also a beautiful country, man. I like that's on my bucket list. Tanzania is one of those countries where I want to go visit and see how it's just beautiful. Like from what I've seen so far, I have to get there obviously and see how everything really look in real life. But Tanzania is amazing, man.
Tanzania has sustained 2 decades of sustained economic growth, being among the 10 fastest growing economies in Africa during the same period, with an annual average growth of 7%. In July 2020, Tanzania reached a major milestone, graduating from a low-income country to a middle-income country 5 years than predicted before. The East African nation has a GDP of about $77.5 billion, with agriculture, mining, tourism, manufacturing, livestock and fishing driving the Tanzania's economy. The country's political stability, natural endowments and strategic geographic position are just some of the few factors which has helped Tanzania to maintain its position as one of the biggest economies in Africa in the past few years. Number 8, Ethiopia.
I also got Ethiopia on my list too, so I know what I'm talking about, man. I know, and this is, come on, man.
With an annual GDP growth of about 11% in the last 14 years, Ethiopia has enjoyed one of the fastest economic growth in the world in the past decade. The country's economic growth has been led by capital accumulation through public infrastructure investments and foreign direct investment, among other factors. Ethiopia's nominal GDP is about $105.3 billion. Agriculture sector, service sector, financial services, manufacturing, transport and tourism sectors contribute a large part of Ethiopia's economy, with its national airline Ethiopian Airlines, which is the biggest airline in Africa in terms of passengers carried, destinations served, fleet size and revenue, standing as a great example of the country's striving.
Actually, I remember when I was going back to Guinea. This is Ethiopian airline was what I took. It was the cheapest one out of all of them, but yeah, it was a great experience, man. Apart from the food.
Transport sector. Number 7, Kenya. An East African country well known for its vast landscapes and wildlife is next on the list of Africa's richest countries by GDP. Kenya's economy has rebounded well from the disruptions caused by the pandemic, growing by 6.8% in the first quarter of 2022. This is according to Kenya's National Bureau of Statistics. The largest economy in East and Central Africa, Kenya's economy almost doubled in a period of 8 years, from $58.1 billion in 2014 to $114.6 billion in 2022. Kenya's major industries include agriculture, forestry, fishing, mining, manufacturing, energy, tourism, and financial services. Number 6, Angola.
I had Angola. Angola is always up there because Angola is a very expensive country. Angola is very expensive. Like I always heard that before about them, so it's like I'm not really shocked.
Angola, a vast country with a long coastline and central plateau. In the past few years, Angola's economy has suffered heavily from the effects of lower oil prices and production levels despite significant progress on macroeconomic stability and structural reforms. However, thanks to the recent surge in oil prices, the economy of the southern African nation has begun recovering. Crude oil sales accounts for more than 1/3 of Angola's economy, and 95% of its exports.
Jeez.
Angola's nominal GDP is $124 billion. Number 5.
Number 5 is Morocco. I think I said Morocco if I'm not mistaken.
Morocco.
You've worked hard
Okay, Purdue.
to get where you are.
It's considered as a liberal economy by experts, governed by the law of supply and demand. Privatization in some sectors since 1980s has had positive results in Morocco's economy, helping the growth of its economy and infrastructure. The service sector accounts for just over half of the GDP, with industries sector consisting of mining, construction and manufacturing, contributing about 1/4 of the country's GDP, and agriculture about 14% of Morocco's GDP. The North African country has a GDP of about $133 billion, making it the 5th largest economy in Africa. Number 4, Algeria. An economy dominated by export trade of petroleum and natural gas, Algeria is one of the largest economies in Africa. The economy of Algeria has primarily depended on hydrocarbons since 1960s when it began extraction of the mineral resources. Algeria is the world's sixth largest exporter of natural gas. Oil and gas account for almost 95% of export revenues and more than 30% of GDP. The economy of Algeria stands at $193.6 billion, making it the fourth biggest economy in Africa. Number 3, South Africa.
Number 3, South Africa. 2, Nigeria. One is Nigeria, I think. 2 is Egypt. I don't know.
The South African economy is essentially based on the private sector. Since the end of World War II, South Africa has established a well-developed manufacturing base, and has since then remained Africa's most industrialized nation. The most industrialized, technologically advanced, and diversified economy in Africa, South Africa has the third biggest economy in Africa, with a GDP of $426 billion. A unique combination of a highly developed first world economic infrastructure and a huge emergent market economy has given rise to a strong entrepreneurial and dynamic investment environment, and has made South Africa a gateway to emerging markets in Africa for many years. Number 2, Egypt.
Man, I'm too good. I am too good, man. Look, my list is literally what this is, bro. And I'm not even shocked, bro, because I know, I feel like I understand about GDP and natural resources. Thank God I didn't go on the natural resources route. I went by GDP, and then I just listed the countries that I know would definitely be on here. And I'm African, so I know exactly where things are.
Recent surge in economic activity has set Egypt on track to achieve economic supremacy on the African continent. Egypt's economic growth has been strong and resilient since the economic reforms initiated in 2016, when Egypt began liberalization of the capital account, which attracted foreign investors into the country. The North African nation has witnessed a remarkable rise in retail market sales, and products influx from major international companies, attracting many international brands. Egypt has a GDP of about $435.6 billion.
Sheesh. Okay, number 1. I had to play a drum roll. It's Nigeria. It's only Nigeria, bro. Nigeria. I have to say it again.
Number 1, Nigeria.
Let's go.
Nigeria has stood as Africa's biggest economy since 2020, when it re-emerged as the continent's biggest economy. Africa's most populous nation and the 7th most populous nation in the world, Nigeria is
Yes, Nigeria is definitely one of the populous countries in the world, like crazy. Because Nigerians, man, they will let you know exactly where they're from. Like, you don't have to ask them. You can just walk around with the energy, like Naija know they carry lots, everything, but just anything. Like, Nigerians are just super confident, super goal driven. Like, they just want to achieve the greatest thing. Like, they don't want to settle for less. Like, I love Nigerians, man. And like, if we have to go by popularity, shoot, I think it would be U.S. being number 1. Obviously, it says 7th, right? So U.S. being number 1. Maybe Great Britain or England being number 2, right? France being 3, 4 being India, 5 being China, 6 I probably put Germany in there, and then 7 being Nigeria, bro.
compelling investment destination endowed with plenty of natural resources and a big market for consumer products. The economy of Nigeria is a middle-income, mixed economy and emerging market, with expanding manufacturing, financial, service, communications, technology, and entertainment sectors. The Nigeria economy, which is $510 billion according to the IMF, is heavily dependent on the oil industry, which accounts for more than 90% of the country's total export earnings.